more than a third of those tax audits are selected by this predictive analytics competence center. So, which means by a machine, by algorithms. I got this information, go to this company B, and please look at the revenues. And then he told me, I'm going to this company, and actually, I don't know what I'm doing. They are now much more under pressure because now they have more cases to audit. The tax court in Spain told the financial authority, okay, I can see the result, but that result is not transparent. I cannot see the steps, the thoughts, the logic which led to this output, this solution. So I cannot accept this. Artificial intelligence is not the way of intelligence we human know. It's only probabilities and mathematics behind it, statistics. They don't have a clue about our world and how we are functioning.
Welcome to the Vadvocate podcast, where we explore all things value-added tax to give you the insights you need as a VAT professional. Hello everyone, I'm Paweł Mikuła and this is Vadvocate podcast. I'm partner at Halcyon Tax Customs Legal and welcome to another episode of Vadvocate podcast. Our today guest is Marina Luketina. Hi Marina, how are you?
Hi Paweł, fine. I hope that you're also doing fine.
Yeah. I'm good, especially because it's a new year, so new beginning, new hope. So everything's the best for also for you on this occasion. Our guest, Marina Luketina, is a professor at University of Applied Science of Upper Austria and associate at Johannes Kepler University in Linz. She's a tax law expert and she's researching everything there is in between the tax law and artificial intelligence. So the topic very hot right now, and she's researching everything that is the interplay between those two fields. Generally, do you want to add something to this introduction? Maybe you would like to expand a little bit on that. What you say?
Yes, thank you very much, Paweł. Wish you also the best for the new year. Yes. What I want to say is you told us that's a very hot topic. That's true. Everyone is talking about AI. But I would just like to mention, I started with AI 6 years ago. I started with some AI studies in Linz because we introduced AI studies. And when I started with this, everyone asked me, why are you doing this? And hey, that's something that's not real and it's not coming. Because at this time, 6 years ago, I was also talking about the taxation of robots, because robots are replacing human workforce. And this also has some consequences for us, for the whole system, for our social system, taxation system, because everything is based and depends on taxation of human workforce. And now I just wanted to add this. And now everyone is really some people are worried about this. And everyone is talking about AI and everyone wants to implement AI, but now it's also very costly. So it's a very interesting development when I look 6 years back and now at this moment.
Okay, so now what you're researching, what you're focusing right now these days, these months, these years maybe, it's generally intersection or interplay between tax law and artificial intelligence. This is your main focus right now.
Yes, that's my main focus. It's about this interplay, and the main reason for doing this was to expand those AI applications. More, it's not just about ChatGPT or some chatbots. There's much more, and I wanted to know how can we implement AI, certain algorithms, certain systems, in order to have real supporting tools on which we can rely on as tax advisors. Because that's possible, because tax law, that's a data field. We are collecting data. The financial authorities have tons of data, and that's the fuel AI needs in order to work.
Yeah, so it's not just ChatGPT that consultant asks questions and it pops out the answer, but generally different applications and different problems around that. I understand that on the one hand we have like all those predictive analysis conducted by tax authorities. On the other hand, we have input from the tax consultants, input from emails, input from contracts, and everything that needs to be transferred into something understandable by AI and to be processed by AI. We have different kinds of applications. I hope we will talk about this. And so I have gone through a couple of your articles recently, and there are a couple of them. There are a couple of them. We will go through a couple of those questions. But as I said, generally, as I see from your research, from your articles, one, let's say, is about looking into those predictive analytics. The other part is about how to make that the AI helps tax consultants or tax lawyers to resolve cases. Is that it? Or you would, to this general picture, you would like to add something?
No, that's it. In sum, that's it. It's about predictive analytics. It's about AI application on the state level, meaning the application of AI by financial authorities. And the other one is the application of AI in the private sector, meaning for tax advisors and also tax departments of companies. Because they are now at this moment, I can now talk from the perspective of Austria, but it's also similar in other EU countries. Now we have the situation that financial authorities started some years ago with AI. And it's not only about chatbots. It's when we talk about predictive analytics, there we have certain algorithms behind it, mathematics, and it's very advanced and a very complicated system. And companies and as well also tax advisors, they start more, let's say, most of them started 3 years ago when ChatGPT came onto the market and was so popular. So we have a certain, certain difference, which is very important. The tax authorities apply AI, so they have a certain power. They analyze our data. And on the other side, what can we do in order to protect us and also to have the same level as the financial authorities, to be prepared for certain analysis, and to have also the space to go on with them. Let's say a disadvantage when it comes to the private sector.
Okay, so that's very interesting. So, beginning with because you are talking more about the AI and the authorities and AI in consultancy and private sector. So on the tax authorities side and on the taxpayer side. So let's start maybe with with one of your great articles on the tax authorities side. So the one of the articles that you have co-authored, it was co-authored, I guess, as far as I remember, exploring the use of predictive analytics by Austrian tax authorities, a qualitative study with the tax technology fit model. So generally, I understand that what I understood from the article is that you are researching and exploring, and assessing to some extent, we will talk about this, the predictive analytics system that is applied by the Austrian tax authorities. So I understand that Austrian tax authorities have some kind of program, some kind of system, some kind of software, some kind of algorithms, some kind of tools that are used for predictive analytics. So as I understand, they are taking some data as they are, as it is, and trying to predict the future using that. Can you explain a little bit more about what it is like in terms of predictive analytics tools in hands of Austrian authorities? How does it work? How does it look like?
Yeah, it's more than just tools. That's a whole department which was established more or less 10 years ago. And this department is growing, and it's a mixture of IT, AI experts, data scientists, and tax experts, because you need both fields. we can also, in other words, you need the things I'm searching on, the interplay between text law and technology, AI. And it's a huge department, and it's led by an IT expert. And what's very interesting, Austria was one of the first EU member states introducing such algorithms and such a department. And now we have the situation, or they're, because you mentioned data, they're analyzing, they're collecting data. Yes, they're doing everything. They're not only analyzing the data which companies and private persons provide to the financial authority because of tax compliance. They're also analyzing the whole World Wide Web and also social media and so on. So they are collecting everything in order to find some errors, discrepancies, and so on, in order to detect, some tax fraud, some transactions which sound not so, some transactions where the financial authority think, okay, they are not so in line with tax law. There could be some fraud or some problems, or companies are hiding something.
There is something suspicious in this situation. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's true.
So there are people and machines, let's say, computers that gather all those data from the tax returns, from the VAT returns, from the informations concerning the registration of the company, and I understand that the registration data of entities in the market, but also social media, for example, or other publicly available sources, and they gather all those data. And what happens next? I mean, let's say the automatic algorithms using AI analyze this and trying to find discrepancies, inaccuracies in the tax settlements generally, but also fraud situations, right?
Yes, yeah, that's the aim. The data is collected and the data is structured, and the data is compared to the data from the past, because that's one typical step when it comes to predictive analytics. Because predictive analytics works this way: you have certain algorithms. They compare the actual data with the data from the past, and then they build on this data and they compare it, and then they tell us a prediction. They tell us, okay, this company, for example, company A, situated in Croatia or in Spain, there are some transactions. They are not. It might be. It's not for sure. It's just a probability. It's probability behind it, based on past data. So, which means they are predicting certain tax situations, tax transactions, or problems based on data from the past, and with probabilities. And then these algorithms tell us, okay, there could be some problems, there could be some transactions, they're not in line, they're suspicious, so please check them. That's how this system works. So it's not 100% sure, but it works. And now we have the situation in Austria that more than a third of tax in Austria, we have the system that companies are audited. There are those tax audits. So their financial statements are checked, all the invoices. So the tax auditor from the financial authority goes to the companies and controls everything. And then, and now more than a third of those tax audits are selected by this predictive analytics competence center. So, which means by a machine, by algorithms.
So more than 33% of the tax audits are actually triggered by this predictive analytics.
Yes.
Okay.
In the past,
very interesting.
Yeah, and what's also very interesting, just to compare this. In the past, all this work was done by humans, by human tax auditors, and now we have more than 33%, which is done by algorithms, and now more tax audits can be conducted, and which also in my article, because this article, it was a qualitative study, but we conducted a study with tax auditors in Austria. We asked them certain questions about the situation and about their work, how their work has changed, because of the predictive analytics competence center. And it's very interesting. They are now much more under pressure because now they have more cases to audit.
That's a very interesting point. So it turns out that actually, if the machine, let's call it this way, indicates that there is something wrong, most probably it might be something wrong. It is a more pressure to audit this, because if I understand that if the tax official had not known previously about that something's wrong going on, didn't know, didn't have to check it, and now they have a lot of information about the different inaccuracies or frauds from the market.
Yes, you said they have a lot of information. I would put it in another way.
Okay.
They get certain information, certain indicators, but they don't get the whole information, because we have to consider one point when it comes to predictive analytics. Not everything is transparent. We have a black box behind it. So it's not always, you cannot always check why do the machine has chosen this company. You get certain indicators, that's it. And now the very important point is now, and that's also from my point very interesting, because I always say we need a combination of both, of the machine and the human. We need this interplay. Now, the algorithm is also living or survives because of the human work. The human tax auditor goes to the company, it controls the company, checks everything, and then he also sees, okay, was the machine right? Was, for example, this financial transaction wrong? Was it not in line with tax law? And now we get the information, okay, the machine, it gave us a correct output. Or not,
or incorrect.
Yes.
So the machine gets the feedback whether it was accurate or not.
Yes.
Okay, so the machine learns whether their predictions were okay. So
Exactly.
It gets better that way.
Exactly, and that's very important for this system. Without this feedback loop from tax auditors, the machine couldn't learn. And now, it's getting much better, and the predictions are getting better.
Yeah. So I was wondering whether the crucial thing that is very interesting for me. Can you give a little bit more of an example how it works? I mean, because sometimes we hear about general methodology, but can you let us feel the meaning of those words, in a sense that some example? I know that sometimes it's not open to the public, this information, and it is often so that the discussion ends at the very general level, because sometimes it is hard to go into details, but whatever you can share with us so that we can feel more precisely how does that work.
Okay. It's you can imagine it's also limited. I'm also not allowed to talk about everything, about every detail. But we have a beautiful example. For example, let's go back to this company, company A. And this company is filling in tax returns every year. And you can imagine this company has transactions with other EU corporations, and it always declared some value-added tax from in Germany and Spain and what country ever. And now it may happen that the business system or the business structure of this company has changed. They don't have any transactions with companies outside Austria. And now they fill in their tax return, value-added tax return. And now the algorithm sees, okay, there's value-added tax missing outside Austria. What about the EU countries? What's going on here? And now we have this comparison. Last year we had all this value-added tax also in outside of Austria, and now it's missing. And this would be a case where the algorithm would say, okay, please, this company, we need to check this. There could be a problem.
So they had only domestic transactions, and now they started to trade with someone outside the Austria. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
or the other way around.
Yeah.
When
Sure.
you yes.
Sure.
And
Mm-hmm.
now we have this comparison. We see there's something missing, and now the algorithm would say, okay, hey, there's something suspicious. Where are those the transactions? And please go and check this.
Let me understand, because the only thing that the if I traded only in Austria and start to trade with someone outside Austria, this is nothing extraordinary at this level, right? There was an additional element that something was missing on the part of the contracting party, yeah, or
Yes, yes. It must not be something extraordinary, or that there could be certain regular transactions, business transactions. But when you have, the system looks back. For example, we have a company which has been established 10 years ago, and they always had said have had EU transactions. And
mm-hmm.
now it can happen that those EU transactions are not more they are not more recorded because they quit their business with the other corporations outside Austria, and this could be something for the machine where
Yeah. Okay.
suspicious. So it's
Yeah.
not only about suspicious transactions for with some countries, for example, South America or so on, where you would suspect, okay, there's something going wrong, or some transactions are not in line with EU law and so on, or money laundering and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is covered. Also ordinary transactions, but also other extraordinary transactions.
Okay, so the first, I don't know if the first, but the one takeaway is that when you're conducting business, the change in your business can trigger the
Yes.
attention of the machine. Let's call
Yes.
it that way. So if something is not, irregularities generally trigger
Yes.
the attention,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. That's one point. And the other point are the sums. Are the sums provided in financial statements? For example, when you have employees and you have to pay social security contributions, which are now not part of tax auditors, but for example, wage tax, and you see you have paid out 1 million wages, but the wage tax is about 100,000 euros. That's not something which the relation is not correct. That would be also something where the algorithm would say, okay, the relation is not as it should be when it comes to
Okay.
those sums provided.
Mm-hmm.
Please, we have to check this.
Okay, but this is interesting. What comes to my mind, because at this level, what you have pointed out, it's more about analyzing big data or big amounts of data, because it's more like analyzing of a great amount of data, and it's not that much of an AI at this level, I guess, right? Or correct me if I'm wrong, of course, because I understand that when you're paying like, I don't know, thousands of people, millions of euros of wages, and you have only like very small amount of social contributions, the AI at this level is not needed to spot that something's wrong going on. Of course, you need to have huge machines to analyze these data and so on. But at this level of discussion, does AI play a role, or?
Yes, it plays a, it begins with a definition of AI. What's AI? And we have to bear in mind that this predictive analytics is just a tool out from the AI box. And those algorithms predictive analytics works with, they are a certain kind of AI, or they belong to the field of AI, because in order to predict, that's the technique behind it. Those conducting those analysis, and AI is always statistics and mathematics. That's the
Okay,
point here.
okay, sure, of
Yes.
course. I got it. There is no point in going. Of course, it's very interesting, but we have limited time. But generally, it's pretty much in the same basket. All those mechanisms are within the same baskets, and whether we call it like this or it's not that important here. Okay, so and when I'm hearing you, another question comes to my mind. Is it because all those things that you have described is more based on the past, in a sense that we gather the information from the past. We see that I had transactions like this, and from now on I have transactions like this, and this triggers the red flag in the system, and the tax auditor goes to check whether everything is okay with that company. So it's more like the tax auditor is making an audit because something happened in the past. What about the future? Because I've heard, but it's like, legend. I don't know. Maybe you know more. What about the prediction of the fraud that is going to happen in the future, right? Whether there are actually in place such a mechanisms that indicate that something is going to happen. I don't know, maybe a couple of companies are acting in a way that most probably they will commit a VAT fraud in a couple of weeks. They have not done it yet, but everything's from the predictive and statistic analytic and applying AI machine, whatever, indicates that most probably those companies are going to commit a VAT fraud. Whether this is something that is already in place or there are hopes that it will be in place. How does it look like?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Just one point before I'm answering this. Predictive analytics, it's about the future. You're trying to find future scenarios based on past data from the past, because how to predict the future? What do we need to predict the future when it comes to businesses, to corporations? And we need their business structure, and we need their past data, their tax returns, and every information, because when it comes to tax authorities, it's not only about handling in tax returns. For example, I can only talk from the perspective of Austria. There are much more information which companies have to provide the financial authority with. It's about their structure, their relations with other companies, and so on. And so it's these future scenarios. They're taking place right now. We have them. Also, those tax audits, they're conducted because the algorithm says, okay, in this company, in future there might be some problems, some tax discrepancies, and might be some tax amounts to pay because they are not conducting in line with the tax law. And that's the reason why we are conducting tax audits, in order to prevent this, but also in order to find out, have there been some problems in the past? Are there some tax amounts due, which the corporation has to pay? So, and to come back to your question, yes, those future scenarios, the Predictive Analytics Competence Center, let's put it this way, is playing with them. They're taking place. We have them, and and now what they are trying. What they're trying to establish is, especially in the field of value-added tax, to analyze actual transactions, business relations, in order to prevent value-added tax fraud.
Yeah, because in it's a Advocate podcast, and we all know that VAT is very much prone to fraud, and indeed I can imagine that predictive analytics, in a sense of prediction of the future, the VAT chains of transactions and carousel frauds and all those things are very much the first thing that come to mind when it comes to predicting the future, because on a taking under consideration the statistical view of the past transaction, you can imagine that the computer can predict whether a couple of companies are preparing the chain to make a carousel fraud or something like that. So definitely VAT is the first first tax to think about.
Yes, yes, that's true. And the aim is, or the future should be that real time predictions or real time controls can be conducted. And I think that's also not so far away when we think about e-invoices and all the systems EU member states have to implement, because also of VIDA, of the EU regulations. And so I think that's something we will deal. We are now dealing with it to a certain extent, and in future there will be much more.
Yeah, especially to our listeners that in the digital age, invoicing on the European level starting 2030, and this new VS system that will gather all the information more or less in real time when it comes to invoicing, and it will be connected with the information on payments and so on. So a lot of information will be held in one hands to have the material to get it analyzed.
And what I wanted also to mention, because of your question regarding future scenarios and prediction of future, one main advantage or the power of AI, of those algorithms, lies in, it's not only about analyzing data. That's the first step, yeah. But it's about finding structures and relations between those data, and then you get a whole picture. So when you're analyzing certain data of companies which trade together, which have relations, and you give those data a certain extent of data to an algorithm, then this algorithm can produce a picture, a relations you couldn't find out before, or which we missed as humans.
At this stage, I understand that it is about predictive analytics. So there is this risk score, right? As I understand, I mean the most important thing that the tax auditor gets from the machine is the risk score, right? Can you tell a few words about this?
Yeah, that's a very important point, because as I provided you with those examples, there is a comparison. So not everything which is found by the machine is reported to the tax editor and he has to check it. There is a certain risk score and it depends. And we can talk about the risk score in a certain percentage or in a certain euro amount. And in Austria, we have the case, all the suspicious numbers, transactions of a corporation, they have to be audited if the risk score, or in other words, the machine tells us, okay, there could be a tax amount due which the corporation have to pay, at least of 10,000 euros. So that's where, when we think in euros, where the risk in Austria starts. And that are the transactions or the corporations worth of auditing. Everything below this risk score or below those 10,000 euros, it's not controlled.
So the tax auditor gets the risk score in terms of amount and in terms of maybe to simplify a little bit of probability of inaccuracy, and then it's up to human beings to do the audit.
Yes.
And is it the case that value-added tax is something special here, in a sense that it's a main focus in terms of applying those machines and algorithms and software? What is it? Is it the fact that value-added tax is something specifically, that the authorities and the algorithms are focused on, or you cannot say that the whole tax system is equally interesting for those mechanisms?
Not the whole tax system. Now, at the moment, value-added tax plays a very important role.
Okay.
Because it's also one of the tax types on a day which corporations have to face on a daily basis. And when you think about the taxation system in the EU, not only Austria, but also of other EU member states, and when you at the budget of the states and their structure, how they finance themselves, then you can see that the value-added tax is one main financing source for states. And you already mentioned before those value-added tax chain transactions and so on, where a lot of fraud has taken place in last years and is still taking place. So now, and one main aim is to fight those frauds within the EU, because it's not so easy.
It's very very important point to another main takeaway, but I see from this discussion that there are many practical takeaways, but the second that I see most important is that indeed VAT is the main source of revenue, obviously, for the EU member states, and again it's a prone to fraud. It's very tempting to try to not paying VAT, and also it is a good material to, and again what we have said, to take under consideration those statistical analysis and try to predict the future. It's a perfect material for the AI to analyze it. So it's value added tax, and if you add to it the chain transactions and the carousel frauds and stuff like this, you have a really first focus point for AI analytics. So VAT is very important here. Okay, so that's very interesting. And what I wanted to ask you on this occasion is, do you have any knowledge about other countries that are implementing this? I mean, I've heard that Italy is doing something like this. To some extent, there was this steer system in Poland, to some extent, that was supposed to analyze those transactions. What is the picture generally in Europe or globally? I know that you're mostly specialized in Austria, but I'm sure you have some knowledge about the trends in globally or in Europe.
That's a very interesting question.
Of course, we are talking. I'm talking about predictive analytics. We are at this topic right now. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Last year in summer, we had a conference near Vienna, where all the from EU member states, from the universities, tax experts and IT experts have taken part. And predictive analytics, or let's say AI applied by financial authorities, was the big topic. And it was interesting to see, and that's also what I know from the Predictive Analytics Competence Center in Austria, when they talk about their position and what they are doing when they're presenting themselves. Austria was one of the first states introducing such a system, and has developed it very well in the last years. So Austria is also one of the countries within the EU which has something like a education role and showing the other countries how to do this and
okay.
So yeah, in some also other EU countries are applying predictive analytics. Italy is of sure one of the countries which having one of the most developed systems beside Austria, because Italy was always one of the countries when it comes to tech, to AI, or let's put it that way, digitalization in tax law. For example, e-invoicing.
Yeah.
Italy was the first state introducing e-invoicing. Yeah. So I cannot tell you in detail what the other countries are doing when it comes to predictive analytics, but they are applying such algorithms, such systems. And but Austria is definitely the one which belongs to the countries with well-developed algorithms in predictive analytics.
Yeah, so this is important information. So what we are discussing right now about Austria, it seems to be rather something that Austria is leading. It's not that we have a lot of those systems already implemented and it's a normal thing, but more or less, of course, there are other countries that are advanced, but what's going on in Austria is generally something that can be predicted as future in other member states, not the other way around. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and also Spain has also certain implementations. It's also one of the countries well developed when it comes to AI.
Okay, so in terms of Poland, for example, there were those provisions concerning the predictive analytics, the called steer system, so-called steer system. It was pretty much like 5 years ago, I think, introduced, and there are those provisions, and the provisions said that the tax authorities are collecting data from the bank transaction system to combat fraud, and these information are collected to make a risk score, to produce this risk scores, but to what extent it is really advanced in the sense of technology, I don't know. I would assume that it's not that advanced right now, but it's a secrecy. I don't know. This is pretty much confirming what you are saying in terms of advancement.
Yeah, thank you very much for this information. When it comes to Poland, also one colleague from Poland was there. It was half year ago where this conference took place, and also the colleague from Poland told me, okay, she gained a lot of details from Austria, because we presented Austrian Predictive Analytics Competence Center. And then she told me Poland is also doing similar things, bank transactions, but it's not a whole system or a whole department like we have it in Austria.
It completely makes sense. This is also my perception, totally. And now a short break and a quick tip, because we have prepared something special for you. It's a Court of Justice VAT rulings database. It contains all VAT judgments and orders issued since the 70s, with search, keywords, and links. And not just that, the best thing is that the database will be updated periodically. And how to get it? By subscribing to our free VAT newsletter. Link in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast for more VAT discussions like this one. Coming back to your article, so in this article, you tried with your colleagues to like assess this system, or try to in an academic way try to check whether it's fit for purpose. So I understand that you have this system, this predictive analytics competence center, because it's called like this. We haven't mentioned that. So we have this this predictive analytics system in Austria, and you tried to assess this versus against some kind of standards, against some kind of ideal picture how it should look like. Can you tell us about the methodology, but just in a few sentences about methodology, and what were the conclusions from those from this research, whether the system fulfills your ideal standards or not?
Yeah, the system was analyzed. There's this task technology fit. You can apply it to every technology, and it's analyzing the purpose of a technology when it comes to humans. In our case, we analyzed the purpose of the predictive of those algorithms for tax auditors, because we have to go one step back.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Please do so.
One of the interesting findings for us was have been those answers from tax auditors in Austria. And one interesting thing was this study was conducted almost 2 years ago. I don't know what's the situation now, but we will evaluate on this more. They told us, or the majority of them told us, they are not so happy with those algorithms, because in the past they analyzed those financial data on their own, and they have had all the transparency they needed in order to conduct a tax audit. Now they get certain indicators, certain hints, and that's it. And now they have this overload of work. They have to conduct those tax audits selected by the algorithm, and also the tax audits they select on their own. So all the tax auditors with more experience, I cannot say that they suffered, but they did not like it so much. And that's the reason why we conducted this task technology fit.
Sorry for interrupting you, but there is so much interesting information. So they were not very happy with this because they feel that they might lose a job, or they were not that happy because they were not very comfortable about where did the information come from, where did the risk score come from. It is more the first reason or the second one?
The second one.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the situation now at this moment, there's not a risk of losing jobs because we get the information from the algorithm, but someone has to do the text audits.
That's interesting. Okay,
and
yeah.
some,
So
and some,
this is the takeaway, the first takeaway, as I understand. But this is extremely important and extremely interesting for me that all these analytics provide so much risk scores, or let's call it information, that there is a huge amount of work by the human beings to be done, right?
Mm. Yeah, you can see it also from the one perspective, from the state perspective. What does the state want? Not only Austria. They want their revenue, and this predictive analytics, it's there, and it's applied together with all the human, because now we also still have tax audits which are selected by human tax auditors. That's now we have this combination, and from the perspective of the state of Austria. Austria wants those revenues, and the aim is to detect all the failures and all the things, all the transactions where Austria can expect at least or more than 10,000 euros tax payments, and so this, but the tax auditors now they're not so happy with the system because of the missing transparency. They needed more information because one of those tax auditor told me, I got this information, go to this company B and please look at the revenues. They're not, there is an inconsistency when it comes to the actual year and the years before. And then he told me, I'm going to this company and actually I don't know what I'm doing, how to explain this corporation. Why do I have to check those revenues? Because that's quite normal that revenues are not the same when it comes when you compare the revenues in the past and then
Very interesting.
Future.
The idea that machine indicated that something is wrong, and most probably there is something wrong, but we don't know what and why. This is the problem. I remember this. I don't remember the title, but there was a book about big data, and it said that certain research indicated that. I mean, the big data analysis indicated that, I don't remember exactly, but that pink cars get broken very often. So there was a correlation between the color of the car and the fact that they get broken. Nobody knows why does it happen like this, but it's a fact. It's a statistical fact that it is obvious. So this is something like that you have the correlation between facts, and you go and you check and you don't know why it happened. Very interesting. But I interrupted you, I guess. I mean, so this was the one of the findings during your research. What else? What else comes to your mind in terms of the results of this research? Yeah.
And one of the main reasons why there was not such a fit between the technology, between predictive analytics algorithms and the humans affected by it, like tax auditors in Austria, was this. Now we are at the human level. One of them is the information, the missing information. They needed more transparency. If they could get more information, why there is a problem or why there is a suspicious transactions, then it would have been fine for them. But one other main reason is the human context. It's the information. It's the explanation of those systems. How do they work? What's the sense of them? And that was also something missing within the Austrian Financial Authority, to get the tax auditors together with the people working at Predictive Analytics Competence Center, and to interchange, to have this something, this social content or this social relation they needed. They felt like, okay, now we are the conductors of the tax audits, and the other ones are saying what to do. And in the past, that was not the case. The tax auditors analyzed the data on themselves. They had a pretty well, picture about corporations. They have also the experience, and they had the relations, the intuition you also need.
Intuition, yeah.
And that's what AI cannot do.
I see. Because when you're a tax auditor, I believe that you are going to the tax audit, you meet the people, you meet the company, you see how it looks like, how the office looks like, how it feels, and you have the intuition whether it is legitimate, everything is legitimate, or there is something wrong. And now I understand that the problem is that the tax auditor gets just the naked information that the risk score is like this, the amount is like this, go and check it, and the tax auditor misses the intuition, misses the context, right? Okay, yes. It's very interesting, very, very interesting. What else do you is there any other result from this research, such interesting results that comes to your mind?
Yes, we also wanted to know what about the age of the tax auditors, how old they are, and about their work experience. And we asked about the years of their work experience, because what came to my mind was, when you have tax auditors working for the financial authorities for many years, they have their experience, and everyone, we always also hear this statement: all the people, they don't like to adapt to new technologies and so on, and to learn, which from my point of view is not true, but yeah. And so we asked also the tax auditors about their work experience and how long have they worked for the financial authority. And it was interesting to see. It's not about the age, it's about their attitude. And one very also funny answer, or two answers, have been, yeah, I'm doing this. I just do what the algorithm. I have my checklist. I just go through it, and I'm doing what the algorithm told me, and that's it. And I'm done with my work. So where there is tax auditors without passion for their work, that's totally fine for them. Such a technology has a huge fit for them. But the other one who think about the work and who have a certain feeling relation to the work, and who want to do really good work, that's not enough. They need this human experience.
I see. Totally understand. My reflection is that from research come out many different behavioral and anthropological conclusions, not only on the tax law level and AI. So it's very, very, very interesting. Any other results or conclusions from this research?
Yes, from my point of view, a very important thing regarding AI applications by financial authorities is about data collection and data privacy. We have a misleading situation in Austria, or a discrepancy when it comes to corporation. Let's put it this way: to taxpayers on the one side and the financial authority on the other side. Because in Austrian tax law, procedural law, there is a section telling us that Austrian tax authorities may use algorithms, machines, in order to collect data and to analyze data. And that's it. Meaning there are no borders. They can do everything.
Okay.
So, which means on the other side, for taxpayers, where's the protection? What can you do? Because they collect everything, and they can find also everything. And then, you have a procedure, you can also get penalties and so on. So there should be more rules, more norms also, in order to protect taxpayers when it comes to AI applications within financial authorities. And that's also what we are missing now. Not only in Austria.
The problem for me always was this, that it's the problem is that since those mechanisms, so in other words, rules or norms in the AI are secret to some extent, or are not explainable to people, it's hard to defend your rights because you don't have the norms that you can question, right?
Yes.
You don't have the mechanisms. You cannot go like in a normal tax litigation that I think that this rule in this section of this act is wrong and this application of this rule is wrong because it was applied this way and it should be other way around. You cannot say it because you don't know the rule that was actually applied, because it's secret, or there are no human beings who know the norms. So this is a problem. But speaking about this, I wanted to ask you a question, because I haven't researched it, but I see that there are quite a significant body of literature on or mentions about explainability or the problem of the thing that the AI is not explainable, let's say explainable. So is it a problem, or what is the problem here? Can you say a few words? What's the problem with that?
The problem is it's the field of taxation, or in general the legal field. You know it also from your work, and then also everyone who has worked in practice when it comes to legal norms. Before, when you solve cases, you have to explain to your customer, but also to the financial authority, and also to courts when it comes to litigations, how did you come to your solution, to your output.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when we cannot, and when we are using AI, and when we cannot see the steps how the AI came to the solution, then we have a problem. And that's also something what now at this moment, also in Spain, we had this case where the tax court in Spain told the financial authority, okay, I can see the result, but the result is not transparent. I cannot see the steps, the thoughts, the logic, which led to this output, this solution. So I cannot accept this.
So more or less, it's what I was saying, that you need to have this explanation how those norms were applied,
Yes.
and what logic and what stream of thought resulted in this application of tax law, in this amount of tax to be paid, and so on. So you need to have this link, and there is a tendency when we're speaking about AI that we are losing it. We are losing the controllability of this stream of thought. We see the input, we see the output, but we don't see the mechanism.
Yes, but now we have the shift has changed. Now also we have literature, and also some when it comes to tax technology, what this is about, which is dealing with our technology applications, not only AI. Different technology applications for taxation purposes. We can see now that there's research, and where you can show, or where you can provide this transparency needed. It can be done through prompting, this chain of thoughts prompting, or now what's the trend and what will come in future. And I see there are a lot of potential for the legal field in general, not only tax law. It's the combination of AI and logic. We call it hybrid AI, because it's not only AI, it's AI, it's a combination of AI. For example, we use AI like a large language model, like a ChatGPT, which is collecting the data, giving us the data we need. And then we establish logic rules based on tax norms. For example, when you have, for example, in Austria, you have to pay tax after annual income of more than 12,000 euros. So the logic rule would be, okay, natural person having income more than 12,000 euros. So there is a tax liability.
Yeah.
Correct, and go on. So so that's where we get a transparency because of the logic steps, like we work in practice when it comes to norms. But on the other side, we have the help of AI when it comes to those data amounts and finding structures and relations and so on.
Okay, so I would like to move to your second article. We will not go into the details in such an extent, but just to close the tax authorities side of the predictive analytics. Do you have any other conclusion or comment here?
One comment would be just to strengthen the side of the taxpayers, to provide them more inside knowledge about AI and also AI applications in order to compete with the financial authorities. That's very important. And also to find a good solution when it comes to data protection, because one of my wishes is not to lose control when it comes to data, AI, and the state level. For example, China. I think it's, from my point of view as a taxpayer in Europe, I would like to have all the controls and all the digital, all the avatars like China is implying of, and
So I see that you're coming back to this. The data protection is something that to some extent bothers you in this
yes.
in this topic. Okay, perfect. So this is on the tax authorities side, and you have also co-authored a second article using large language models for legal decision making in Austria value added tax law, an experimental study. So I understand that it's more about assessing, about researching, about trying to answer the questions whether the AI gives an accurate output when we give an input in a natural language as the lawyer work with and so on. Can you tell us a little bit about this study and or about the research problem or the question that you were trying to address here?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it was one of my first projects which I led regarding AI and WET. And we wanted to know, or I wanted to know, everyone is talking about chatbots and large language models and their applications. And we see also the applications. If we see them writing emails, preparing presentations, preparing summaries and all this stuff. And I wanted to know, what about using them as an assistance, supporting tool for tax advice or tax departments of companies? And what about the accuracy or what about the legal reasoning capabilities? Are they in a position to provide us an answer when it comes to value-added tax, like we do it as tax advisors? And when it comes to large language models, there are two techniques in order to, specialize them or to make them better for certain purposes. And the one technique is fine tuning, where you fine tune a model, a large language model, giving it certain data, cases, and so on, so that it works better and provides more accuracy. And the other technique is RAG. It's RAG. RAG is it's about, again, it's about providing data content to a large language model, but you're not fine tuning it, so you need less time. It's about giving the large language model a data like PDFs or certain documents.
Mm-hmm. So it's a retrieval augmented generation, right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
And the AI or the large language model retrieves the information from those documents you provided with. So when it comes, let's take, for example, ChatGPT as is the one of most prominent LLMs nowadays. We have ChatGPT with all the data it has and the trainings it has been provided with. And now, but it can be that ChatGPT, and it is the case, is missing certain special data, text data from Poland or Austria. And now we give it certain documents like our tax law, tax regulations, or data from the financial authority. And then we tell him, hey, here you got your documents and please provide me the answer based on those documents. So it's a nice technique. It's you need not a lot of time in order to do it. And you provide a model with special knowledge.
So you conducted your research trying to answer also the question which of those techniques are better. Let's say
Yes.
better. It's not an academic term, I know, but generally better.
Yeah.
So fine tuning and retrieval augmented generation. I understand that fine tuning is something more like the technique in which you give a lot of different examples to the machine, let's say, and based on those examples, it is able to try to answer future questions based on those lots of different examples. For example, in a field law, in a VAT law, or generally legal field, you are giving a lot of different cases, how they were resolved, and based on those analysis of cases, how they were resolved in the past, it is the machine can try to predict what is the right answer, correct solution for the future cases. So it takes more time. While in the RAG model, you just put I don't know, legal, legal acts or general legal sources, and it takes, it creates the solutions, or it creates the answers based on those texts. So is that a good way to put the differences between those models?
Yes, in the general level, yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, on the general level. Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. And I understand that during your studies, what was the input? What was the input that were that on which you tested this? I mean, was it I don't, description of the case in a natural language, or was it a series of emails with attachments, or I don't know, a video talk, or what was the input? Let's say.
Yeah, the input was we provided the model with the value-added tax law of Austria. We provided the model with information from the financial authority regarding their view or their interpretation of the value-added tax law in Austria, and we provided the model first of all with cases, but not we collected those cases. The first part has been. It was about textbook cases we also provide students with in order to practice and to understand tax law. Mm-hmm. That was the first part. And then, because you mentioned emails and so on, then we collected cases from the practice, also from emails and so on. But we structured them. We put those cases into an Excel sheet with the questions from our customers, and with our provided answers. So in order to give the model the information, mm-hmm. or to train it. Mm-hmm. That was the first part. And after this, we tested this model on real world cases. Again, we collected real world cases. And we give the model the description of the case, like we do it, like I would do it when a client comes to me and explains me his situation. Then I also take notes, and then I solve the case based on the legal rules. And that was what was also the procedure, or the information, the structure of data we provided the model with. So it was a collection of data of cases, real world cases and textbook cases, but in the same structure. We collected the information, wrote it down together with the solution. And so the model gets the information of the real world cases and also the textbook cases in the same structure, in the same way. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what I understand that the input was the same for the first methodology fine tuning and for the RAG, right? The input was the same, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was the result? Were the results satisfactory, and were there any differences between fine tuning and RAG methodology?
Yes, it was very interesting to see. Just to come back. Before our study, the research showed that fine tuning is needed in order to apply large language models mm-hmm. for legal purposes. And that's what we wanted to know. Is it really true? Do we really need all this hard work of fine tuning? Or can we just mm-hmm. provide a model with certain documents, legal documents, and try and tell the model to reason, to give us an answer like a tax advisor would do it. So it's the one question, or just to give an example of this. The study was about the place of supply of delivery of goods, or when a corporation provides certain services to their customers. And we asked the model to define this place, or the place where the value added tax has to be levied. And we told it, but give us the answer based on the legal norms. Tell us, according to Section 1 of Austrian value added tax, the corporation has to pay the value added tax because the transaction is taking place, and so on. We wanted to provide that the model provides us with all the legal rules we needed and short explanations to it. And it was interesting to see that the reg model, when we gave the model the documents, and then we applied this mock track procedure where we divided the data of the documents into certain we divided the data. We did not gave the LLM the whole documents. We separated the documents into certain sections. Then those models work better. And it was interesting to see, at least for our purposes, for value-added tax in Austria and the place of delivery of goods and providing services, that REG performed better than fine-tuning.
Mm-hmm.
Which means when developing such AI tools, or when, like tax advisor companies, when applying ChatGPT or what else, you can provide a model with certain documents and you can get accurate answers.
Mm-hmm. So RAG turned out to be, at least in this case, a better solution, and it means that you don't have to feed it with all those data as in the case of fine tuning. So it's less costly, let's say, less resources need to be used to get the good results. Okay, so perfect. Do you have any other comments or conclusions from this part of your research?
One important conclusion would be, you read the article and you saw we had an accuracy of about, in some cases, 100%, and there have been some cases with an accuracy of about 90%, so something between 90 and 100%. And when we talk about those things, a lot of people, or tax advisors, says, yeah, okay, but that's not 100%. The output is not 100% correct. So what should I do with it? And from my point of view, it's important to switch the view. Look at the output, which is correct. It's about 90%. It's usually more than a human tax advisor would score.
No, exactly. Totally. You need to have like experience of 15 years or something like that to come to this level of conclusion. So
Yes. And also, what's also very interesting, without doing fine-tuning, also without REG, when you apply now the new models at the market, like the new OpenAI model, ChatGPT, and also Google Gemini, and you ask them, we try it out every month, and we ask them certain questions about Austrian tax law. The questions are really good, and I'm telling you, you need the knowledge. You have to check those. You have to assess the answers because it's your liability, because you rely on them, and it's your liability what you tell your clients.
Yeah.
But those models, without those specific training for taxation purposes, now score very good results. And so you can ask, one important comment from my point of view is, you can ask yourself where the future is going. Now you have models giving you perfect answers to certain tax law cases. So what about human tax advisors? What about their future and their work and their tasks in the future?
Yeah, so this was of the most obvious question that I wanted to ask you at the end of this talk. But since you mentioned it, what is the future of the tax advisors?
The future of the tax advisors. I think that the tasks of tax advisors will get more complicated. You know, when I go back, when I think about the past, that's also what I from a big company in Austria, from a tax advisory corporation partner told me. You know, Marina, 20 years ago, I was writing statements about the correct issuing of invoices in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Section 11 of the Value Added Tax Act in Austria. And then she told me, now, hey, no one asked it. It's pretty clear that it's such a simple task. And we came to the conclusion that the tasks will get more complicated. And I see the future of tax advisors. I see a combination of AI and human knowledge. What tax advisors will need? They will need their knowledge. They will also have to strengthen their knowledge, and they will also have to go on with all this AI development. They should know what's going on in the AI field, which tools can we apply, where are the challenges of those tools, the problems, and they will have to assess every output AI tools provides. Because and also in order to need those tools, you need your knowledge. Without knowing nothing about chain transactions in VAT, how could I use such a model? So, and I have also I have to deepen this knowledge more. I would say more than in the past, because the pressure is now going. Clients are contacting tax advisors with their own solutions provided by certain AI tools.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Since we are at this level of discussion, I'm not sure if it's totally and specifically your field, but you have mentioned that Google Gemini, I understand, or ChatGPT providing good answers, and it's true to certain extent. But is there a difference if we, for example, if we use general ChatGPT right now, as I'm sitting in front of my computer and I'm asking him, prompting him about, I don't know, what is the accurate VAT rate for the sale of pizza in Poland, let's say, and if I were to, take the Polish VAT Act and the significant amount of case law on VAT rates in Poland, put it into some kind of tool, ChatGPT or something other, to focus his attention on this specific amount of documents. Maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not. For me, it's not obvious. Would the result be better? In a sense that what I'm thinking about, is there a sense of building a separate tool that is focused only on VAT, or it does not make any sense because the general tools are so good that it does not make any sense to put your efforts and resources into specific tools?
Very good question. It depends. It depends on the field and on the question and on the complexity of the field and the questions. I would say there's not when you're asking such simple questions about the height of a tax rate, I would say there will not be difference when you ask ChatGPT or when you just in the normal way, or when you provide it with certain documents. But you will, from a human perspective, you will have a better feeling when you provide the Value Added Tax Act to ChatGPT, and okay, ChatGPT got the answer, retrieved the answer from the Value Added Tax, from the source you would also look up when it comes to the tax rate. But and yeah, 3 years ago when we started with this project, we assumed this. 3 years ago, the answers haven't been so good as right now. But our assumption or hypothesis was, okay, due to the development and the use of such models, the answers for simple question or more not so complicated question will be such as good as provided by human tax advisor. And now we arrived at this in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to more complicated structures, and also when it comes to accuracy, like section and then the connection between legal rules, then it's better to have a trained, specialized LLM than
Mm-hmm.
the normal one.
Okay. Because one case that I was dealing with lately was, let's say, it was more complicated, but let's say it was a sale of pizza, and let's say that it was, let's say that the client applied 8% VAT rate. And I have checked it by myself whether it is a good rate or not, and I have done the research, and as in the old times, going through the case law and in the binding rulings of tax authorities and so on. I have collected it into one catalog on my hard drive, and I have come to the conclusion that this VAT rate is obviously wrong. It shouldn't be 8%. It was not pizza. I'm just for the sake of clarification to our listeners, it was not pizza, but let's say it was. The client applied 8% VAT rate, and obviously it should be 23%. I have come to the conclusion based on the newest case law, like I'm sure for almost 100%, really. But I put all those documents, all of my research to ChatGPT, and he answered in a wrong way. He based on, because he saw so many documents confirming 8% VAT rate, but he didn't spot that in, let's say, October 2025, there was first 3 binding rulings or binding rate information that the approach changed. So he drew the conclusion based on those many documents, but he didn't spot that actually what matters is this little very detailed change that occurred 3 months ago, which is a total game changer. And I also did it. I also took all those documents to this Google note something.
Notebook
They
LM.
have this. Yeah, exactly. I have taken all those documents to Notebook LM, and I have tried to talk with him about the research, and he didn't have a clue where to what to look for. So I understand that, of course, it's a. But I just wanted to ask you about any comments on that, because I know it's a trivial question, because in some sense, because obviously everything gets better in 2 years' times. Maybe they will be brilliant, maybe not. But what are your comments on that?
Yeah, I like this scenario you explained, and then also your question, and you addressed certain very important points. As I already told you, when it comes to very simple, easy questions like a standard value-added tax rate, then you can expect the model to give you the correct rate. But when we have such situations, like the law has changed, or there has been some jurisdiction providing another tax rate, then of course the model cannot know this because they are not trained. They have not been provided with a certain data. And if so, as you mentioned a very important point, there have been so much documents talking about indicating 8%. And that's AI, that's probability. And you also told, and that's also why we need our own knowledge in order to assess those answers. But it doesn't mean that they won't get better or that they cannot provide good answers, so accurate answers.
Yeah, of course.
And one important thing you mentioned, the model had no clue. That's true. Artificial intelligence is not the way of intelligence we human know what about our intelligence, or we think intelligence is. It's only probabilities and mathematics behind it, statistics, but it's not. They don't have a clue about the world and how we are functioning. It's only training, research, statistics, calculations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Of course. Yeah. Yesterday I had a discussion when there was a also question about other services and VAT rate, and I felt that if we go for a binding ruling and try to confirm the rate, I feel intuitively that although the ruling will not be completely like purely legitimate in a sense that we will have to give a certain amount of data for the background for the tax authority, and we will have the positive ruling and we will go to the tax authority with this ruling, we are able to defend the lower rate, although it is not completely accurate if we go deeper into the tax law, because I, as a tax advisor in Poland, I have this intuition to what extent of to how deep the tax authorities will go. So these are those very human, specifically human traits and characteristics that it may take some time for the artificial intelligence to get, I guess.
and yeah, and I think that's artificial intelligence. It's only calculations, and I think I don't know. Maybe I cannot say what the future will bring, and if we will have this general artificial intelligence having also this feelings intuition. Now that's not the case, and I also think we won't see it as long as we live.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and that's also something, that's also the difference between human intelligence and artificial intelligence, and that's where our strengths are, and that's also something human tax advisors will need in future: their experience, their intuition. Let the AI do calculations, statistics, structuring of data, and so on. But the understanding of the world and the relation and that's what we should do, and what we also have to do.
Yeah, totally. And so we will not go very much into details about your other fabulous articles, but you also, I will just mention that you have also did another research. We will link to this episode, the links to your articles so that everybody sees. But generally, I understand that you also worked with VAT chain transactions, and you have like you and your team, you tried to design a model which reads the natural language, turns it into the graphs, into the pictures of the chain transactions in VAT, and then from those graphs, the AI indicated which transaction is so-called movable in this VAT transaction. Do you want to? So I understand, just to move quick to the conclusion. I understand that you have you have concluded in this research that the model was pretty good in terms of analyzing the natural language into the result, but it was even better when it comes to reading the graph into the results. Can you tell briefly a little bit of this research, or your main thoughts and conclusions, whatever comes to your mind around this research?
Yeah. That's one of the future work, or the future. See, that's a combination of AI and then other tools or logic. So hybrid AI, that's the field of hybrid AI. You have a large language model retrieving the data, and then you have other software algorithms providing you with, in our case, with knowledge graphs. And the reason for conducting this research was the chain transactions can get very complicated, and you need a lot of time to go through all the contracts and emails so that you can establish the structure, that you can see it, or that you can see the picture of the chain transaction. And I thought it would be a very, very, very helpful for tax advisors when they got this chain transaction, when they got a picture of the chain transaction, like a knowledge graph, and then they can solve the case. They can see the information they need, and they save a lot of time and can focus on the very important things like, compliance and optimization and so on. And what was very interesting here, first of all, we provided the LLM with certain rulings with jurisdictions. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the field where the LLMs failed totally. They couldn't retrieve information related to the chain transaction from Austrian court rulings. That was very interesting because the data is not structured there. So it was very, very funny to see this, but it was interesting.
It's pretty. I think that chain transactions are so complicated and so crazy stuff. Also, when you take under consideration the Court of Justice of the European Union case law on this, and for example, Polish law. Nobody knows how to resolve those cases. Maybe that's why the LLM did it. Also, yeah.
Yeah, that was really very interesting. But what really works very well when we provided the LLM with certain contracts, emails, and we also provided cases, also real world cases related to chain transactions, then it really retrieved the information we needed for the chain transactions, and it produced us a knowledge graph with the corporations involved and the transactions, and it shows also we programmed it that way to show us the movable transaction and the unmovable. So you have the solution, so you have a first picture of the case. And then you can go on as a tax advisor and proceed with the case.
Yeah, the only thing that comes to my mind is to be totally honest. When you have the graph, it's easier, right? Because when you have the graph in case of chain transactions, it's pretty, let's say, easy if the graph is good. The worst part, the most difficult, is to get the graph correct. But but that's very interesting. And the last thing is that you have also, among other things, did some research on transfer pricing methods. So again, the research, the task, the question, the problem where there was, I understand that on the input side there was also a natural language, but on the output side the AI should indicate what is the correct transfer pricing method to be applied in a certain situation, in a given situation of international companies within international related companies. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Again, hybrid AI. Now it was a combination of large language models and logic. We used the tool Prolog, or the program Prolog, which is a logic program. And we let the LLM again collect all the data and retrieve the data we needed. Let's perform the function risk analysis, because you need it in order to determine the right method, transfer pricing method. And then in this, with this tool, with Prolog, we define the rules. We use the OECD transfer pricing guidelines and also the Austrian transfer pricing guidelines. And we wrote the logic rules, how to define and apply a method depending on the case and the data we have. And it was also very interesting to see that when you use logic and combine it with LLM, that is functioning pretty well. So the methods then we tested it on certain real world cases, and the methods have been correct. But this research, it's more work in progress. We applied for a research grant, and we for a much bigger project regarding this. And I'm happy I received information on 23rd of December. We got this grant, so we can go on. And it's a combination. It's the University of Linz, University of Vienna, and also PwC working with us together. So yeah, I think in 1 year I can provide you more information on this.
Okay, perfect. But I see that this is more a question about how to structure those machines to give the good results on transfer pricing method. It's not about research how did the current AI did, whether it did well or not in terms of transfer pricing, but it's more about.
It's building a real tool for transfer pricing applications. And then the advantage is you have the transparency because of the logic rules we build, we apply, and you have a documentation, transfer pricing documentation, which is necessary. You do it automatically, and you save a lot of time. So, and it's about applying the suitable techniques and reliable, transparent AI logic combination, and also regarding data privacy, that that you can really apply such a tool in your corporation tax department without having any
problems with
yeah
privacy and secrecy
and
and stuff,
accuracy and so on. Yeah.
and accuracy and so on. Okay. Thank you very much. Do you have any conclusion, any main message you would like to deliver?
Yeah. One conclusion. As a human tax advisor, human tax expert, go on, deepen your knowledge. You will need it, but please also go on and deal with AI. Use AI because it's not only future; it's now at the moment, and it will become much more important and also better. And don't only look at those those incorrect output and the problems, like everyone knows the case of Deloitte in Australia and the problems AI can lead to, but it has a lot of more advantages than disadvantages. But we have to deal with it and establish tools which can act as a support. And I'm only talking, not replacing humans. That's not the case, but acting as support systems. And one thing we should also all think about it in our field is AI is, we can see a certain change, a shift when it comes to, to the entry level, when it comes to bookkeeping at the entry level and also tax advisory at the entry level. For example, I have it here in Austria. We need a little more of humans or people from universities and so on, because those things which are easy, which are repeating itself, can be done by the machines. So now we have also, this problem of how to get to a manager level when we are missing humans at the first level, at the entry level. So that's also something we have to deal with, but we have to find a solution. So.
Yeah, perfect. What I would add to that, what especially from all those beautiful things that I got to know today, one thing that is still in my mind is that the first takeaway that actually, in terms of tax authorities in Austria, artificial intelligence gave so much information that there are more and more people needed to do the tax audits, to do the work, right?
Yes.
So artificial intelligence also gives us the information or knowledge about the world that stimulates or causes more people to get the work done. So it's not that it's only one way that, that most of us will be useless in a couple of years. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, Marina, thank you very much. It was so interesting. I'm sure it will be a good episode that everybody will enjoy. Thank you once more, especially that I know that you're very busy, and I know that you have many of those things in many conferences and everything, because you're dealing with such a beautiful topic. So thank you once more, and have everything that's wonderful during this 2026.
Thank you very much, Pavel, for everything, this nice podcast and your interest in this field, and looking forward to staying in touch with you. I wish you the best for 2026.
Thank you. Welcome to the Vadvocate podcast, where we explore all things value-added tax to give you the insights you need as a VAT professional.